Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for tuning into another episode of Lost Negotiations. I'm your host, Brodda Mike. Today, I want to talk about something very important and a bit of a cautionary tale. I would like to share with you about my experience during my recent trip back home. So, I'm recording live from Lagos, Nigeria. I'm actually here on a family visit. And I just figured, while I'm here, I might as well just spend some time just dropping this. This should be a short episode because we've been having some power issues. Excuse me. So I started out just flying out of Atlanta. So thank goodness Delta now has a direct flight to Lagos out of Atlanta. And boarded the plane. And in fact, we were held for an additional 2 hours and 20 minutes at the airport gate after we boarded. Primarily what happened was that one of the doors of the aircraft the pressure wasn't sealing. In essence, when the plane is pressurized, you don't want a leak. Because of that, we were on the plane for about 2 hours and 20 minutes. Now, don't get me wrong, this has nothing to do with the time. Safety is the number one priority, especially with airplanes. So as far as I'm concerned, it could have taken 10 hours and we'll have waited for 10 hours. Again, safety is very important and it needs to take however long it takes for them to fix it. As long as everybody is safe and as long as there's no airplane accident, God forbid. So this is not really anything to do with how long it took. I'm fine with that, and it needs to take however long it takes because safety is the number one priority. Has to be. So it started out with Delta, and this is not a knock on Delta, by the way. I fly Delta, as most of you do, and I'd wanted a direct flight out of the States because right now, as of the time of this recording, this is during the pandemic. And because it's during the pandemic, if you fly through Europe or through another part, every country has different COVID restrictions. So I just didn't want to go through that. So I decided, I'll just go ahead and fly Delta because they have non-stop direct flights from Atlanta to Lagos. Now back to my story. So we sat on a plane for 2 hours and 20 minutes at the gate, and this is it's an Airbus plane, the really big Airbuses. It's an Airbus A330. If you guys are familiar with jet engines, the Airbus 330 is really the big planes that goes long distances. By my observation and from my point of view, there was just one non-black guy on the plane. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is that in a way, flying to Nigeria, you are always in a position whereby you are not getting the best customer service. What 200 passengers on there, and over 90% of people on their back. It wasn't cheap. International tickets are usually more expensive compared to local flight tickets. So I fly a lot, and if a plane is delayed by more than 2 hours, you are getting some kind of voucher, future travel certificates or coupon. And the airlines that are smaller, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll give you free internet for the duration of the flight, just to show they're sorry and be apologetic about the delay. And again, I don't mean to knock Delta at all. It's not a knock on Delta, but the nonchalant customer service we got was just terrible. And the idea is just because you're Nigerians and you're all going back to Nigeria. So just deal with it. Later on, the pilot came on. They got the mechanic. The mechanic came out like an hour in. They fixed the door. So next, okay, let's go. Nothing. Dead silence. Just crickets. The pilot had announced that we had to wait for final inspection, which is okay because the inspectors had to come and make sure the mechanic did the job right. 30 minutes passes by, more crickets. Another 30 minutes, more crickets. So about 2 hours in, we see these two gentlemen come in. Got the Delta safety vest, the one that kind of lights up at night, and it has Delta on. So they were the guys. And the guys were there for like a minute. And that's it. 20 minutes later, the gate was closed. So just going to Nigeria, visiting for a lot of you Lagos diasporans, or for a lot of the diasporans, you just have to have a lot of patience. Even those here in America don't treat you right. Again, like I said, I've been on a lot of flights. most airlines will be very, very apologetic, and they'll say, we're so sorry. You know what? We're so sorry. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Maybe Delta is not the best airline to fly. I don't know. Or maybe it's because you're going to Nigeria. And if this was an all-white, plane, they wouldn't treat us like that. With 2 hours, 20 minutes, they'll change the plane, move us on a different aircraft, or they'll do something. But we kept there, just quietly waiting. Nobody said a word. It was just like one black American guy that was saying something. Well, from his accent, you can tell it's African American. He was the one speaking for most of the time. One thing about Nigerians are that culturally, we tend to not speak up too much. At the end of the flight, though, I did reach out to one of the air hostesses and let her know that the way the delay was handled was poor, and that they could have been more communicative to the passengers. So with that, I was like, oh no, this is like welcome to Nigeria before getting to Nigeria. So when going back home, just don't expect the best. Even from the American outbound airlines, especially those flying to Nigeria, they know your bunch and they know you guys, so they don't treat you with respect. Okay, so we flew into Murtala Airport, a lot of waiting. Again, nothing is wrong with waiting. It just has to be sensible waiting. Like, the signage was just terrible. It's hard for you to know what's going on. So here we go, waiting. They had some people on wheelchair. So one of them, those who kind of push people around, like elderly people or people that are wheelchair bound. For some reason, just inadequate training, had someone roll over. This lady fell off. She fell off of her wheelchair as she was being wheeled around by this airport employee. So that was another 30 minutes. So imagine going somewhere, and then you spend 30 minutes just at the airport on arrival after you've spent more than half of the day on the plane sitting, just because some employee was not properly trained on how to carry people in wheelchair. Again, I don't know what happened to the lady. I know that, they got her off and held us for 30 minutes. So when you're traveling, you just have to have a lot of patience. Then again, this is during the pandemic. You have to go through the Nigerian International Travel Portal. So the Nigerian International Travel Portal is a place where you go to put in your biometrics data, and then you schedule the COVID-19 test within 7 days after you arrive Lagos. Got online, tried to pay previously, but the website wasn't working. So it used to be earlier when they first rolled it out, if you couldn't pay the fees listed on the travel portal website, they wouldn't allow you fly, and there was no provisioning for you to have paid at the airport. To those of you that are coming or planning on visiting, at least during the pandemic, my advice is to try to plan ahead, at least a week before, if at all possible. Now, there's an exception to the rule. Probably when you're going to go, everything will work out because they are trying to fix things, and it's just a continuous improvement process, which a lot of times in the States, they have a beta test. For anything they roll out, they test it out, make sure it works. They test it out and they make sure it works, but Nigeria, they just go ahead and roll it out and good luck. So the Nigerian National Travel Portal wasn't working. I tried and tried. Finally, it came online. And I don't know, maybe it's when I was trying, because I was trying at night, which is Nigerian time. Sometimes, you want to do things, especially with the internet, like when people in Nigeria, when they're asleep, and not like their own daytime, because they tend to get more requests on them. So that's kind of what I figured out. I had to browse to the Nigerian National Portal like at another time. I just kept checking until the walkthrough. So my advice to you is, if you can, please, if you know someone in Nigeria and if they can help you, just have them do it for you. Because if you go to the airport and then you try paying there, like, that's a whole different situation. Like, and you don't want to be adding any more stress. So when we got to the airport, I wasn't getting picked up because I just didn't want anyone to pick me up, which was a mistake on my part, by the way. You have to try as best as you can just to make sure that you have someone there to pick you up. So I decided just to go there, and I would just call the Uber. So getting out of the airport, the place for arrival where people used to be, just right outside the airport, it's under construction. Because it's under construction, you have to walk maybe half a mile. I want to say, could be less. Just that half a mile walk, it's like you have these guys just attacking you, grabbing you, touching you, and just pulling on you. Oh, do you need dollars? Foreign exchange? I'm like, no. you need dollars first, and I was just like, no, thank you. It helps speak the local language, and again, I was speaking Yoruba, so if you can speak, even it's pidgin English, just try and speak something else. Don't like be speaking the Canadian or American or Australian or British accents. That's a dead giveaway. That's a straight giveaway. So I was just speaking Yoruba and saying, no, I'm good, and then people started grabbing onto my bag, like, let me help you. I'm like, no, thank you, I don't need help. Obviously I was saying this in Yoruba, but they were like, no. So this guy will say, okay, fine. Then they walk away. Then like that few steps down, on that guy who saw what just happened at me saying no, he thinks he has a shot at me saying yes to him. Imagine how stressful that was. So if you can, try your best to have someone pick you up. By the way, for people that are being picked up, so let's say someone comes and pick you up, those that will pick you up, they're not like right there. There's the new parking lot that's been built out by the airport. That's where people are allowed to park, and then they have to walk. And in this particular area, they cannot even, like, that half a mile distance, they're not allowed to come through that half a mile. So your family, your friends, whoever is picking you up, is not able to come like to you. And I understand, they're trying to, it's for security reasons and safety reasons, but there's got to be a better way to do this. So if you're listening, and you are the big Oga controlling the Murtala airport, that's just such a terrible idea. Like, because people are traveling, in my case, from Atlanta to Lagos was was more than 13 hours, by the way. So it's just very, very inefficient. And no, Nigerians are one of the smartest people out there, but just idiots are the ones running the government, like total idiots. So it dawned on me once I got to the half mile point that those that are allowed to come to the gate are like people that are connected, are politicians. If you know someone who knows someone, if you have some money to pay, those to allow you to get that close up front. So again, this is 2021 and it's just kind of a little bit stressful. So I understand that, people want to go back home, but if you want to go back home, I just want to say be prepared. Be very, very patient. Keep your mouth shut. Don't be like talking too much and letting people know you are not from here. Don't be, just causing any trouble or anything. Just be quiet, be calm. If you're into meditation or yoga, and you have some AirPods, just put your AirPods in, listen to some yoga and some meditation, because it's like the intention is to frustrate you from the beginning to the end. So again, I'm not saying don't go to Lagos or don't go to Nigeria or don't go to Africa if you're not Nigerian. I'm just saying be prepared. Be mentally prepared. And I was prepared. I thought I was prepared. In my mind, I was prepared. But even though I thought I was prepared, Nigeria will get to you. Like there's a way they will get to you. And once you get to that point where you're like steaming red hot, what you got to do is just to be quiet and breathe in and breathe out. So like I said, this will be a short episode. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe. Please share this with your friends. And I'll see you on the next one. This is Brodda Mike signing out.